Nicki Minaj just got exposed in the worst way possible. A resurfaced video shows her destroying Melania Trump, then praising Donald Trump like nothing ever happened. The internet is losing it because this isn't just flip-flopping, this is something way darker, and people are calling her a straight-up hostage.
Everybody thought they knew Nicki's political journey. She stayed quiet, kept her opinions private, focused on the music. That was the version we all accepted. But now a bombshell video is circulating that's got the whole narrative twisting in real time. In this clip, Nicki straight up insults Melania Trump to her face, calls out Trump's character, doesn't hold back at all. Then cut to years later, she's on record expressing utmost respect and admiration for Donald Trump as president, the same man she dragged, the same family she disrespected. And folks online are asking one question: what the hell happened between those two moments? Because this ain't about changing your mind. This is about something way more sinister. Let me break this down step by step, because this is where things get wild. The first video that resurfaced shows Nicki at some kind of public event. She's face to face with Melania Trump, and she does not hold back. She questions Trump's integrity, his treatment of women, his overall character. It's raw, it's unfiltered. It's the Nicki we know who doesn't bite her tongue. And honestly, that version made sense. She's always been outspoken, she's always stood up for herself and her community. So seeing her call out Trump, that tracked. But then the second clip drops, and this is where the internet starts losing it. In this one, Nicki is giving an interview. She's calm, composed, and she says she has the utmost respect and admiration for Donald Trump as president. She talks about him like he's done something incredible, like she's proud of him, like she supports him. And people online are going, wait, what? How do you go from publicly dragging someone to publicly praising them? That's not a political evolution, that's a complete 180, and it doesn't add up. Now, here's where the online detectives really went to work. Fans started pulling up timelines. They started looking at Nicki's legal troubles, her husband Kenneth Petty's case, her brother's case, the federal charges, the mounting pressure, and they started connecting dots. Because here's the thing. Nicki's husband was facing serious time. Her brother was already convicted. She was under massive legal and financial strain. And suddenly, out of nowhere, she starts aligning with connected political circles. That's not random, that's calculated. And then people started noticing who she was associating with. Political operatives, grifters, folks who've made a career out of using black celebrities as pawns. Folks who don't care about the culture, don't care about the community, they just care about access and influence. And Nicki Minaj, one of the biggest names in hip-hop, became their trophy. She became the face of their outreach to Black America. And that's when the word started spreading. She's not doing this willingly. She's a hostage. Let's keep it real. The evidence is piling up. Fans online been working like full-blown investigators, pulling receipts, comparing statements, analyzing every interview she's done in the last few years. They're looking at her body language, her tone, the way she avoids certain questions. And folks swear something is off. This isn't the Nicki who used to speak her mind freely. This is someone who's been backed into a corner. Someone who's saying what she needs to say to survive. And that's the most heartbreaking part of all this. Because think about it, if you're facing legal pressure, if your family's freedom is on the line, if you're being told that aligning with certain people could make your problems disappear, what would you do? That's the trap, that's the leverage, and that's exactly what political grifters specialize in. They find people who are vulnerable, they find people who are desperate, and they exploit them. They turn them into tools. And Nicki Minaj, whether she wants to admit it or not, became one of those tools. Now, some people might say she's a grown woman, she made her choice. And yeah, that's true. But let's talk about the context. Let's talk about the system that put her in that position. Because this isn't just about Nicki. This is about a pattern, a strategy, a deliberate effort to use black celebrities as political pawns. And once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it. And it gets even crazier. Because this isn't speculation. We have Lizzo on record talking about this exact thing. She said it plain as day. Celebrity political alignment is driven by profit, access, and power. Not belief, not values, not integrity. Just straight up transactional politics. And when you hear that, everything starts clicking. Because that's exactly what we're seeing with Nicki. She's not supporting Trump because she believes in him. She's doing it because she has to, because the alternative is worse. And that's the saddest part of this entire story.
Now let's get into the motive, because this is where everything starts clicking into place. Nicki Minaj has been dealing with serious legal and personal problems for a while now, and I'm not talking about minor issues. I'm talking about federal cases, family drama, and mounting legal fees that could drain anyone's resources. Her husband, Kenneth Petty, he's a registered sex offender who failed to register in California. That's a federal crime. He faced serious prison time. Her brother, Melania Trump, convicted of predatory sexual assault against a child. These aren't small cases. These are life-altering, career-destroying situations. And Nicki's been caught in the middle of it all, trying to hold her family together while the world watches. Think about the financial strain alone. Legal defense for federal cases costs millions. Millions. And even though Nicki's one of the biggest rappers in the game, that kind of sustained legal pressure bleeds you dry, especially when you're fighting multiple battles at once, especially when your earning power is directly tied to your public image. And here's the kicker. If your public image gets destroyed, your income disappears overnight. No endorsements, no features, no brand deals, nothing. You become radioactive in the industry. So now picture this. You're Nicki Minaj. You're one of the most influential women in hip-hop. You've built an empire, but your husband's facing prison. Your brother's already locked up. The feds are circling. Your legal bills are piling up. And then someone walks into the room and says, "We can make this easier for you. We can help, but you need to do something for us." What do you do? What do you say? That's the trap. That's the leverage. That's how they get you. And this is where the political grifters come in. These people aren't new to the game. They've been running this playbook for years. Find someone with influence, find someone who's vulnerable, offer them a lifeline, and then use them. It's that simple. And it works every single time, because most people don't have a choice. Most people are just trying to survive. And when you're trying to survive, you'll say yes to things you would have never agreed to before. Now let's talk about the timeline, because the timing of Nicki's political shift lines up perfectly with her legal troubles. It's not a coincidence, it's cause and effect. Right around the time her husband's case was heating up, she started making public statements that aligned with Trump-connected circles. Right around the time the pressure was at its peak, she started appearing on platforms that push right-wing narratives. And right around the time she needed help the most, she became the face of their outreach to Black America. That's not random, that's orchestrated. And here's what makes it even more messed up. The people using her don't care about her. They don't care about her family. They don't care about her legacy. They care about access. They care about optics. They care about being able to say, look, we have Nicki Minaj on our side. We have credibility in the culture. But once they're done with her, once she's no longer useful, they'll toss her aside like trash. That's how this game works. That's how it's always worked. But let's zoom out for a second, because this isn't just about Nicki. This is about a broader strategy. Political grifters have been targeting Black celebrities for years. They go after rappers specifically because rappers have cultural influence. They have reach. They have credibility in communities that politicians can't access. And so they use them as proxies. They use them as tools. And they don't care about the damage it does to the celebrity's career or reputation. Because to them, Black celebrities aren't people. They're assets. They're commodities. They're means to an end. And the saddest part? Once you align with these people, there's no going back. Your reputation in the culture takes a permanent hit. Your fan base fractures, and you become financially dependent on the very people who exploited you in the first place. Because now, mainstream opportunities dry up, mainstream endorsements disappear, and you're left relying on right-wing platforms to sustain your income. You become trapped in a cycle. And that cycle is exactly what they want, because the more dependent you are, the more control they have.
So when people say Nicki Minaj is a hostage, they're not being dramatic, they're being accurate. She's trapped, she's compromised, and she's being used. And the worst part? She probably knows it. But what can she do? Walk away and risk everything collapsing? Speak out and risk retaliation? Stay silent and let people destroy her legacy? There's no good option. There's no clean exit. There's just survival. And right now, survival means playing along. That kind of fall-off hits different. It's not just about money. It's about identity. It's about legacy. It's about everything you've worked for being weaponized against you. And that's exactly what's happening to Nicki Minaj right now. She's living proof of what happens when you become a tool for political grifters. She's living proof of what happens when you're backed into a corner with no way out.
But here's the part that really hits different. The part that makes this whole situation even more heartbreaking. Because while we're talking about Nicki Minaj and political manipulation, there's a human cost to all of this. There's a person behind the headlines. There's a woman who built herself from nothing. A woman who fought her way to the top of a male-dominated industry. A woman who inspired millions of young girls to believe in themselves. And now that woman is being paraded around like a puppet. And you can see it in her eyes. You can hear it in her voice. You can feel it in the way she carries herself now. Go back and watch interviews from her early career. Watch her talk about her dreams, her goals, her refusal to compromise. She was fierce. She was fearless. She was unapologetic. That's the Nicki we fell in love with. That's the Nicki who changed the game. But now she's guarded. She's defensive. She's choosing her words carefully. And that's not growth. That's not maturity. That's survival mode. That's what happens when you're under constant pressure, when you're being pulled in 1,000 directions, when you're trying to protect yourself and your family at the same time. And let's talk about her family for a second, because they're the ones caught in the middle of all this. Her husband, her brother, her mother, they didn't ask for this. They didn't sign up for public scrutiny. They're just trying to live their lives. And now they're being used as leverage against her. Every legal case, every court appearance, every headline, it's all ammunition. It's all pressure. It's all designed to break her down and make her compliant. And that's messed up. That's cruel. That's exactly what exploitation looks like. People keep asking, why doesn't she just walk away? Then the answer is simple. She can't. Because walking away means losing everything. It means her husband goes to prison. It means her family falls apart. It means her career implodes. It means financial ruin. So she stays. She plays the game. She says what she's told to say. And she hopes that one day, somehow, she'll find a way out. But the truth is, there might not be a way out. Not anymore. Not after everything that's happened. And this isn't the first time we've seen this. We've watched black celebrities get used and discarded over and over again. We've watched them align with political forces that don't care about them. We've watched them sacrifice their integrity for temporary relief. And we've watched the culture turn on them. Because that's what happens. The moment you align with people who exploit your community stops supporting you. And that's the price. That's the cost. And Nicki Minaj is paying it right now. But here's what breaks my heart the most. She probably knows. She probably understands exactly what's happening to her. She probably lies awake at night thinking about how she got here, how her legacy is being destroyed, how her name is being dragged through the mud, how people who used to love her now question everything about her. And she's powerless to stop it because the machine is bigger than her. The system is stronger than her. And once you're caught in it, escape is almost impossible. That's the part people don't talk about. The emotional toll, the psychological weight, the constant fear, the sleepless nights, the guilt, the shame, the anger. That's what Nicki Minaj is living with right now. And that's what makes this story so tragic. Because this isn't about politics. This isn't about left or right. This is about a human being who's been cornered, exploited, and used. And we're all watching it happen in real time. Now let's dig even deeper, because there's way more to this story than just Nicki. This is part of a pattern, a deliberate, calculated pattern, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Let's talk about Trump's strategy when it comes to black celebrities, because it's not random, it's not coincidental, it's methodical, and it's been happening for years. Here's the thing.
Donald Trump doesn't reach out to black doctors. He doesn't reach out to black educators. He doesn't reach out to black scientists or black community organizers or black policy experts. No, he reaches out to rappers, entertainers, athletes, people with cultural influence but no political power. And why? Because they're easier to use, they're easier to manipulate, they're easier to control, and they give him the optics he needs without actually having to engage with the black community in any meaningful way. Think about it. Ice Cube, Kanye West, Lil Wayne, Snoop Dogg, and now Nicki Minaj, all of them at some point got pulled into Trump's orbit. All of them are used for photo ops, for headlines, for credibility, and every single one of them paid a price for it. Their reputations took hits, their fan bases split, their careers suffered, but Trump, he moved on. He got what he needed and left them to deal with the fallout. That's the playbook, and it works because most people don't see it until it's too late. And here's where it gets even more insidious. The people facilitating these connections aren't doing it out of goodwill. They're doing it for money, for power, for access. There's a whole network of political operatives and grifters whose entire job is to find vulnerable black celebrities and turn them into tools. They identify who's struggling, who's desperate, who's got legal problems or financial problems or reputational problems, and then they swoop in with promises. Promises of help, promises of connections, promises of influence, and once the celebrity bites, they're hooked. Let me give you a concrete example. Snoop Dogg. Recently, Snoop performed at something called the Crypto Ball, a Trump-affiliated event, and when people called him out, Snoop defended himself. He said he was doing it for the community. He said he was trying to help. And maybe he believes that. Maybe he genuinely thinks he's making a difference. But here's the reality. He got used. He got paraded around at an event designed to legitimize crypto elites and Trump-connected political figures. And those people don't care about helping the black community. They care about extracting wealth and influence, period. And let's talk about who organized that event. David Sachs, a tech billionaire, a venture capitalist, a guy who's been criticized for his ideological ties to some seriously problematic circles. In fact, there's a post from civil rights attorney Sherilyn Ifill that breaks down Sachs's connections to apartheid-era South Africa through family lineage. And whether or not you believe that connection matters, the point is this. David Sachs represents a certain kind of elite power structure, and that power structure sees black celebrities as commodities, as props, as ways to buy cultural credibility without actually earning it. And Snoop? He's friends with Sachs. He performed at his event. He defended the decision publicly, and now he's being labeled a pawn. Not because he's a bad person, but because he got used, just like Nicki, just like Ice Cube, just like so many of us. And the crazy part, most of them don't even realize it's happening until it's too late, until their reputation is damaged, until their community turns on them, until they're trapped in relationships they can't easily exit. Now let's contrast this with someone who saw it coming and resisted, A$AP Rocky. Remember when Trump intervened in Rocky's arrest in Sweden? Trump made a huge public spectacle of it. He tweeted about it. He sent diplomats. He positioned himself as Rocky's savior. And a lot of people expected Rocky to come out and thank Trump publicly, to endorse him, to become another tool in the Trump playbook. But Rocky didn't. He stayed quiet. And when he finally did speak about it in a documentary, he was careful. He acknowledged the help, but didn't offer political loyalty. He didn't become a pawn, and that's integrity. Rocky could have easily cashed in. He could have aligned with Trump and gained access to certain circles, but he didn't, because he understood the cost. He understood that once you align with these people, there's no going back. Your reputation in the culture takes a permanent hit, and Rocky valued his reputation more than temporary access. That's the difference. That's the line between someone who's protecting themselves and someone who's being exploited. But here's the kicker. Rocky had the luxury of choice. He wasn't facing ongoing legal pressure. He wasn't desperate. He wasn't vulnerable, so he could afford to say no. But Nicki, she's not in that position. She's trapped, she's compromised, and she's being used because she doesn't have the same options Rocky had. And that's the tragedy. That's the injustice. That's what makes this whole situation so messed up. And folks online are putting all of this together. They're comparing timelines, they're analyzing relationships, they're connecting dots, and the picture that's emerging is clear. Nicki Minaj isn't acting independently. She's being controlled, she's being leveraged, and she's being used to legitimize a political movement that doesn't care about her or her community. And once people see that, they can't unsee it. And that's why the backlash is so intense, because it's not just about Nicki, it's about the system that's using her, and people are tired of watching it happen.
Now, this whole situation gets even crazier when you realize how many other celebrities have been caught in similar traps, because Nicki Minaj isn't the first, and she definitely won't be the last. Let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. Let's look at how this pattern keeps repeating itself, and let's talk about why these political grifters keep winning. First, let's revisit Ice Cube, because Ice Cube's story is almost identical to Nicki's. A few years ago, Ice Cube got involved with Trump's administration to discuss something called the Platinum Plan, which was supposed to be a policy initiative aimed at helping Black Americans. And on the surface, that sounds great, right? Ice Cube, a legendary rapper and activist, using his platform to advocate for his community. But here's what actually happened. He got used. He got paraded around in photo ops. He got turned into a talking point. And when the election was over, the Platinum Plan disappeared. Nothing came of it. No real policy, no real change. Just optics, just manipulation. And Ice Cube took a massive hit for it. His reputation suffered. People questioned his judgment, his integrity, his loyalty to the culture. And meanwhile, the political operatives who used him, they moved on to the next target. They extracted what they needed and discarded him. That's how this works. That's the pattern, and it's happened over and over again. Then there's Kanye West. Kanye's situation is even more extreme. He didn't just align with Trump, he became Trump's biggest celebrity cheerleader. He wore the MAGA hat, he gave bizarre interviews defending Trump, he met with him at the White House. And the whole time, it was clear that Kanye was struggling. He was dealing with mental health issues, he was vulnerable, he was in pain. And instead of getting help, he got exploited. Political operatives saw an opportunity and they took it. They used Kanye's instability to their advantage, and when Kanye's usefulness ran out, they abandoned him. And now Kanye's career is in ruins, his reputation is destroyed, and he's facing the consequences of decisions he made while being manipulated. And let's not forget Lil Wayne. Right before the 2020 election, Lil Wayne met with Trump and endorsed him publicly, and people lost their minds. Because Lil Wayne has always been apolitical. He's never been the type to get involved in politics. So why did he do it? According to reports, he was facing legal trouble, federal gun charges, serious time. And then he meets with Trump. And then Trump's administration helps him out, and suddenly Lil Wayne is endorsing Trump publicly. Coincidence? Not a chance. That's leverage. That's transactional politics. That's exploitation. And here's what ties all of these stories together. In every single case, the celebrity was vulnerable. They were facing legal issues or mental health struggles or financial pressure. And in every single case, political grifters swooped in and took advantage. They offered help, they offered access, they offered solutions, and in exchange, they got public endorsements. They got cultural credibility. They got optics. And the celebrities, they got used. They got discarded, and they got left to deal with the fallout. Meanwhile, fans online have been working like full-blown investigators, pulling up these patterns and exposing them. They're creating threads, they're making videos, they're connecting the dots, and the message is clear. Black celebrities are being targeted, they're being exploited, and they're being used as pawns in a political game that doesn't care about them. And this story is still unfolding with way bigger implications than just one incident. What we're seeing here is systemic. It's not isolated, it's not random. It's a coordinated effort to use Black cultural influence for political gain without actually engaging with the Black community in any meaningful way. And the more we see it happen, the clearer the pattern becomes, and the angrier people get. Because, let's keep it real, these political operatives aren't stupid. They know exactly what they're doing. They know that rappers and entertainers have more influence in Black communities than politicians do. They know that a single Instagram post from Nicki Minaj reaches more people than 100 campaign rallies. And so, they target her. They target Snoop. They target Ice Cube. They target anyone with reach. And they use them. And they don't care about the damage it does. Because to them, Black celebrities aren't people, they're tools. They're commodities. They're means to an end. And the saddest part? Most of these celebrities don't even realize it's happening until it's too late. Until their reputation is ruined, until their community turns on them, until they're trapped in relationships they can't escape.
And by then, the damage is done. The grifters have moved on, and the celebrity is left to pick up the pieces. That's what's happening to Nicki Minaj right now. That's what happened to Kanye. That's what happened to Ice Cube and Lil Wayne and Snoop Dogg. And that's what'll keep happening until people wake up and see the pattern. Until celebrities stop falling for the trap. Until the culture holds these grifters accountable. Because right now, they're winning. And we're losing. And that needs to change.
And this story is still unfolding with way bigger implications than just one incident or one celebrity. What we're seeing here is a blueprint for cultural manipulation, a strategy for how to hijack influence without earning trust, a system designed to exploit vulnerability and extract value without giving anything real in return. And the scary part? It's working. And it's been working for years. And unless we start talking about it openly, it's gonna keep working. Let's talk about what this means for the culture. Because hip-hop has always been a voice for the voiceless. It's always been a platform for resistance, for speaking truth to power, for challenging systems of oppression. But what happens when that platform gets hijacked? What happens when the voices we trust start speaking on behalf of people who don't have our best interests at heart? What happens when our cultural leaders become puppets for political grifters? We lose our power, we lose our voice, and we lose our ability to organize and resist. And that's exactly what these political operatives want. They don't want a strong, unified Black community. They want division. They want confusion. They want people fighting each other instead of fighting the system. And the easiest way to do that is to compromise the people we look up to turn our heroes into villains, to make us question everyone and everything. And once that doubt sets in, organizing becomes almost impossible. Trust breaks down, movements fall apart, and the system wins. That's the bigger picture. That's what's really at stake here. Because this isn't just about Nicki Minaj or Ice Cube or Kanye West. This is about the future of Black political power. This is about whether or not we can protect our cultural leaders from exploitation. This is about whether or not we can build a movement that's strong enough to resist co-option. And right now, we're failing. We're losing ground. And we need to wake up before it's too late. And here's the other piece of this. Once a celebrity aligns with these political grifters, their earning power in the mainstream evaporates. No more major endorsements, no more mainstream features, no more brand deals. They become toxic to everyone except the right-wing platforms that propped them up in the first place. And that's by design. Because once you're financially dependent on those platforms, you can't leave. You can't speak out. You can't change course. You're trapped. And that's exactly where they want you. So when we talk about Nicki Minaj being a hostage, we're not being dramatic. We're being accurate. She's trapped financially. She's trapped legally. She's trapped reputationally. And every move she makes from here on out is dictated by the people who hold that leverage over her. That's not freedom. That's captivity. And it's happening in plain sight. And the responsibility doesn't just fall on the celebrities. It falls on us too. Because we're the ones who give them power. We're the ones who follow them. We're the ones who amplify their voices. And if we keep supporting celebrities who align with political grifters, we're enabling the system. We're allowing the exploitation to continue, and we're complicit in the damage it causes. So we have to hold people accountable. We have to demand better. And we have to protect our culture from those who want to weaponize it against us. The bigger conversation is about responsibility, about awareness, about recognizing the tactics being used against us, and about building systems of support that protect our cultural leaders from exploitation. Because right now, they're vulnerable, they're isolated, and they're easy targets. But if we create networks of accountability, if we build platforms that prioritize integrity over access, if we reward resistance instead of compliance, we can change the game. We can protect our people, and we can take back our power. What we're seeing here is how celebrity culture can be weaponized, how influence can be hijacked, how vulnerability can be exploited, and how an entire community can lose its voice when the people we trust start speaking for someone else. That's the lesson. That's the warning.
And that's what we need to take away from Nicki Minaj's story. Not that she's a bad person, not that she's evil, but that she's a cautionary tale, a reminder of what happens when the system targets you, and a call to action for all of us to do better, to protect each other, and to resist.
So where does this leave us? Where does this leave Nicki Minaj? And where does this leave the culture? Because the reality is there's no easy answer. There's no clean resolution. There's no happy ending here. Nicki's reputation has taken a massive hit. Her credibility in the culture is damaged, and her relationship with her fan base is fractured. Some people still support her. Some people are willing to give her grace, but a lot of people have written her off completely. And once that happens, it's almost impossible to come back. And the question everyone's asking is, can she recover? Can she walk away from the political grifters who've been using her? Can she rebuild her reputation and reclaim her legacy? And honestly, I don't know, because the system is designed to make escape almost impossible. Once you're in, you're in. Once you're compromised, you're compromised. And once your earning power is tied to the people exploiting you, breaking free means risking everything. And most people aren't willing to take that risk. Most people would rather stay trapped than lose everything. And I can't even blame them for that, because survival is survival. And sometimes survival means making choices you never thought you'd make. But here's the thing. Even if Nicki can't escape, her story can still serve a purpose. It can still be a warning. It can still wake people up to the tactics being used against us. Because the more we talk about this, the more we expose the pattern, the harder it becomes for political grifters to operate in the shadows. The more we educate people about how this system works, the less effective it becomes. And that's power. That's resistance. That's how we fight back. And folks are already starting to see it. The conversations are happening. The threads are being written. The videos are being made. People are connecting the dots, and the narrative is shifting. It's no longer just about Nicki being a sellout. It's about Nicki being a victim. It's about her being exploited. And that shift matters, because it means people are starting to understand the bigger picture. They're starting to see the system for what it is. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. But let's also talk about speculation, because there's a lot we don't know, a lot we can't confirm, and a lot that's still unfolding. Reports are saying more details are about to drop, more evidence, more connections, more proof of how deep this goes. And if those reports are true, this story is about to get even bigger, even messier, even more damaging. And Nicki's going to be at the center of it all, whether she wants to be or not. And here's the scariest part. If this pattern continues, if more celebrities get targeted, if more people get exploited, we're going to see the culture fracture even further. We're going to see more division, more distrust, more chaos. And that's exactly what the system wants. Because a divided culture is a weak culture, and a weak culture can't resist, can't organize, can't fight back. So the stakes here are massive. This isn't just about one person, this is about all of us. This is about the future of our power, our voice, our resistance. And the ball is in our court. We can choose to keep supporting celebrities who align with political grifters, or we can choose to hold them accountable. We can choose to stay silent, or we can choose to speak up. We can choose to ignore the pattern, or we can choose to expose it. And whatever we choose will determine where we go from here, whether we reclaim our culture or whether we let it be hijacked, whether we protect our people or whether we abandon them. That's the choice, and the clock is ticking. Stay locked in, because this story is far from over. More details are dropping every single day. More clues are surfacing. More connections are being exposed. And reports say this is just the beginning. We're about to see even more celebrities get caught up in this web. Even more exploitation. Even more manipulation. And we need to be ready. We need to stay informed. We need to stay vigilant, because the only way we can fight back is by knowing what's happening, by understanding the tactics, and by refusing to let it continue. So drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Nicki Minaj is a hostage? Do you think she's being exploited? Or do you think she's making her own choices? And what about the bigger pattern? Do you see it? Do you understand how political grifters are targeting black celebrities? And what do you think we should do about it? Because these are the conversations we need to be having. These are the questions we need to be asking. And I want to hear from you. I want to know what you think, because this isn't just my story to tell. It's ours, it's the culture's, and we all have a role to play. Make sure you like this video if you found it valuable. Hit subscribe if you want to stay updated on every twist and turn in this story, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single update, because we're covering this from every angle, every new development, every piece of evidence, every connection. We're not letting this go. We're not letting it get swept under the rug, and we're not letting them win. And if you want to support the channel and help us keep doing this work, there's a link in the description, because this isn't just commentary. This is resistance. This is holding power accountable. This is protecting our culture. And it takes resources. It takes time. It takes energy. So if you can support, we appreciate it. And if you can't, that's cool too. Just share the video. Spread the word. Keep the conversation going. That's how we win. That's how we fight back. I appreciate you for rocking with me, for trusting me, for engaging with this content, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe out there, stay informed, stay aware, and remember, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. When the pattern keeps repeating, expose it. And when your culture is under attack, defend it. Base.